Hello! A slightly different angle today for a purpose. I've got to tidy up my workstation and area post Christmas. And here it is. If anyone knows the ship, I will comments below if you recognise the ship. If you don't worry. There are 4 things on there that let you identify it. It is obviously a British ship. So this is bookshelf number 1, and I've got batteries, adapters, DVDs. I've got all sorts of bits of junk. I have the Logitech Blast still waiting for their tech support to get back to me. Razors and things I got for Christmas. Hot glue gun, which is going to be used later, because I got in there some Velcro straps, which I will point out why I've got them in a minute. The wife's old phone, which was used for the Blast, and all sorts of other stuff all needs sorting out, especially that case of software. That silver case had or has a offline backup of all my data in it in DVD form. If we spin round on top of that bookcase, you can see a load of empty media where I've not been doing it. Okay? And the reason I've not been doing it is the DVD writer's there and it's not plugged into anything, which gives you a hint of something I need to do. So first things first, this is a PC from work. It needs to go back to work. I'm not even sure what it is. It's a Celeron with 1 gig of RAM in it and a load of junk. It's basically the core machine that we ran from about 2001 until 2015 on our kits at work. So that needs to go back. I had it for development work. This is my offline backup server. It's never worked. I've never sorted it out, and I need to. It was actually a recase. This Dell case was my in-laws' Celeron processor that they bought 10 years ago. They bought this straight off the shelf, used it quite happily. They've now got a recase of their same motherboard, extra RAM, new graphics card, and a Core 2 Quad 6600 in it. I've got this, which is my motherboard with a gig of RAM and a Core 2 Duo. The purpose being that it's meant to run 2 DVD writers and over the network back up all my data to it silently once. So it's meant to have a tiny little boot disk, a sort of scratch terabyte disk or 500 gigabyte disk, and then these DVD writers. And it sat there because it doesn't work and I need to pull it out. It used to sit between the 2 machines back there. This machine is my primary server. That's Wellington. So this is the 775 to 771 Xeon conversion. So that's actually a quad-core Xeon with 4 gig of RAM and a bunch of other stuff in it. I'd like to upgrade that machine this year. That's a project for later. Main workstation, that's the Core i7 950 with the 1080. But then there's the utter horror of the wiring. Okay, so there's my main power bar that goes behind the radiator, which is over there. It comes in here next to the desk. You see the upright of the desk. This wonky thing here is my main switch in. Now that's an unmanaged switch, and you can see two lines go off under here to feed 2 machines on this side. Well, actually, one of those goes directly to my primary workstation, and one of them goes to another switch that's on top of the desk, which I'll cover in a moment. The other loop back, okay, goes to the stack of servers there. It goes to a switch that's in the stack of servers. They aren't particularly used at the moment. They're just idle. And I have a whole plethora of crap on top of the printer, including a record player, a vinyl record player. And then there's a spare computer chair back there that needs sorting out. And then behind this wardrobe, okay, so up there are all my spare parts and bits and pieces. There's actually a spare motherboard in there. And then behind it, down this edge, there's actually a whole bunch of parts that need sorting out. Which then brings us to the top of the desk. I've got a stack of hard drives. So the first one, in fact, I'll show you. So this is the 500 gigabyte Western Digital that came out of the backup server. So this is what I loaded up with data. And there's a 2.5-inch drive here. So this 2.5-inch drive was that server's boot disk. That's dying, or whichever one it was is dying. And I have a little SSD to replace it with. This is a King Dian 60GB. So that's project number 1. Sort that out, get that rewired, stuck somewhere useful. These are the discs for it. So I've got 2 1TB Western Digital blues, and I've got 1 4GB NAS red, Western Digital red. I like Western Digital drives. This one though is secondhand. These are brand new. This is a brand new disc. I believe I've not even opened this. It might actually be a good idea to just have a look what it is. Yeah, Western Digital 1TB. This is still brand new, boxed, 1TB. So that's actually upside down. It shouldn't be upside down. But we'll tie that up. So this is all the project I've got to do. Okay. So down there's the other bits and bobs. That's actually the side of the piece, the backup PC. So there's all those discs. So discs. Cleaner Arduino project for the father-in-law's train set, which has been there so long it's got dusty. Isopropyl mini screwdrivers. I need to sort all this out. This is a stack of 2.5-inch drives. I've replaced all these with basically cloud storage. These I used to carry around with me, tote around with me. They're now effectively redundant, but I want to do something with them. They are not to be trusted with production data. In fact, there's another one here, look. Okay. They're all USB 2.5-inch SSD stuff. If you've not seen my USB flash ZFS tutorial, then go have a look at it, but this might be another one that I do later on. 2 keyboards. They're both plugged into the same computer. This is my nice clicky keyboard. I love this keyboard. This is a Cherry MX GX6000, I believe, and this is a Golem. Well, it's a Golem series something or other, IROX Golem K50E. I reviewed this. This is quieter than that, but still semi-mechanical. It's got like scissor keys in them. They're okay when I don't want to wake the wife up. That's its purpose. This is why it's here. But you'll see that this is about 10 years old. You can see how I've worn it. This is less than a year old, and this is really worn heavily, and I don't use this as much as I use that one. So that's probably a feedback for them. Then directly under my main PC screen, so this is the Asus screen that I absolutely adore. I need to sort out all this. There's junk, and there's flash drives, and there's snot things, and calculator, and appointment cards, and this is, again, this should be in the backup server really. This was it's a 320 Western Digital Blue in an ITCEO eSATA case. That was attached downstairs to my old wireless router, which had an eSATA output and provided network storage, and I could drop a movie on there, drop media on there, and play it on the telly. Unfortunately, the router, the eSATA connector on the router went bad. Again, if you go to the blog, megalomaniacboard.blogspot.com, you will see that I had issues with my Virgin Media. So I unplugged everything and plugged it all back just with their router, their hub on it, everything, all that stuff. When I came to then put it all back as it was, after proving my point, I plugged that in and nothing happened. It's fine. If I plug that into another device, it's fine. I've got eSATA on my workstation. But on the router downstairs, it does nothing. I think I killed the eSATA port somehow. There's the main camera that I normally film on. This is being filmed on my phone. Then we have my secondary backup screen. Now that screen is normally on the 2 servers underneath the desk, one in VGA, one in DVI mode, and I just flip between the 2. It's a quite nice Dell screen. It was my main screen before I got the Asus. Other screens are elsewhere in the room. This project, this is my laptop, and again, you will have missed this one in the mix because I've not really posted about it. It had a dead battery, so it's had to sit there for like 6 months connected to power all the time. I now have a new battery, but it's just as rubbish. The PC, the actual laptop, is lovely. It's an 8-core, 8 GB machine. I run Linux directly on it. It's really good. But I need to sort it out. And then we have back there somewhere. See, I can't even see it, but there is another hub back there somewhere. There's another manager hub. Oh, there should be. I've actually lost a hub, everybody, but it is back there. There is one. This wire goes into it. So that's how bad things have got. This is a wireless keyboard, really nice one. This is the pads for the protecting of the PC. Here is one of the other optical drives. Also, this is the boot drive for the... This is the boot disk for the backup server. Raspberry Pi. This was going to become my backup for everything. What I was going to do with that was the trick with ZFS and the USB flash disks. I was going to do a sort of intermediary there, and I was going to leave that downstairs, permanently powered with a little Git repository on it, mirrored across 3 or 4 powered USB hubs. Trouble is, can't get ZFS on the Pi. Or I presume you can, I just can't. So that's a bit of a snafu. A whole bunch of instructions here for what I was doing. So you can just see the amount of mess and shit and trouble I have got. So I think I'm going to work left to right. I'm going to start over there, and I'm going to take everything out and put it on the bed. And look at the state of my carpet. Look at that. Crap. Carpet shrunk. Anyway, off topic. So I'm going to take everything I can onto the desk, except the workstation PC, which is going to stay there. And I'm going to unplug everything. Okay. And then I have cable ties. Okay. And with these cable ties, okay, I'm going to, on the rear side of this desk, I'm going to get a drill, and I'm going to drill at a 45-degree angle down through the rear, so I get a loop. Okay. And I'm going to feed this through the loop, so I get a proper circle of plastic. And I'm then going to hang all these wires from those cable ties, probably in other ties. So they'll be at least up out the way, and I won't be kicking them all the time. So that's the first big task. It is an absolute, utter and complete rat's nest down there. And I don't know if I can get some light on the situation, but let's look at the state of that. Look at it. It's awful. Okay, and then it carries on even worse back there. So that's my tech tinkering for the day. I don't know how long this is going to take, and obviously the moment I take it all apart, there'll be something going wrong. What else to talk about for you guys? So it's just a channel update, really. So I'm also going to talk to you about something worth a read. Okay, and it's this, Early Home Computers by Kevin Morrell. Okay, so if I just sit this down a second, I'll just move a personal item out of the way. So this is a really nice book to get anybody into early home computers and looking at the history. Now, I recently had to work quite closely with some quite young developers. I, as you know, will be turning a rather large number of years old this year. Let's just say if you took my age and did a remainder by 10, you'd get 4. And I had a completely different perspective on early home computing to those developers. I suppose one of the problems I have is that when I was at university, I had an early home computer. I had several, and I went to the PC because that's what the course required. Obviously, at that time, it was very, very Windows orientated. In fact, version 1 of Linux didn't come out until midway through my course. And that completely changed the direction of my course at that time. So this was not what was studied. They studied just the PC. And because that course only studied the PC, it was incredibly American centralized. It was IBM, it was Microsoft, it was you know, a little bit of MIPS, a little bit of, you know, the Altair starting things, and it was all American, and it was all, you know, play the Star Spangled Banner, please. Of course, these machines, obviously that's an Amiga, but lots of them are not American. They are, you know, well, the Odyssey is, that's an unfortunate case, but, you know, there was the Commodores, there was the Amstrads, there was the Spectrum, the BBC, the Micro. So this gives a much more balanced view of that time, you know. Obviously there's Acorn Soft Games, the Sphinx Adventure with the Acorn Soft, you know, and it's a really good little read. It's quite hard to get a copy of this, but I would recommend to anybody that you do. Okay. You can of course also get my book, but we'll cut to the chase, and don't buy this book, it's terrible. The other thing that I will be implementing this year is Scrum. I will be not using this version of it, but a version of it. There will be Scrum at work. And then, obviously, this is my other bit. This is my immediate library. These are things that I'm immediately always using. So you can imagine the C++ stuff's always here. There's some Python stuff here. So Python, History of Computing, the Colossus book. This is an excellent book. This is a really, really good read on the World War II Colossus. Recommend that book. But yeah, C++, the standard, the actual library, statistical analysis stuff. These are very old books of C++. This is the Tor. Some Pratchett. Always got to have some Pratchett. And then my D&D stuff. The other side books I would recommend are, of course, Scott Myers books. Always get them. There's some other things I recommend. Here's the other battery for the laptop that needs to be replaced. There's the USB hub that I used in the other video from the other day. There's some other bits and bobs in here as well. Graphics stuff, game engine stuff. 2 copies of real-time C++ terrain engines. I was also thinking about going through this book, sort of like a retrospective, because obviously today everybody just connects to, you know, whoever's cloud, and they, you know, use those cloud AI to do whatever they want. I don't believe so. So we've got all that to sort out. There is then classic software up here. This is got a whole bunch of Atari ST software in there. This was actually my first ever C++ book. I've got another project on the boil in here. There are 2 Atari STs in there. Neither of them are actually, well, they're both mine, but neither of them were mine when I was a kid. My actual one when I was a kid is under the bed behind me. This one is an Atari STE, but the chap that had it before me chose to spray the top cover bright green. I don't know why either. Nor did he. I asked him why green, and he didn't know. This one below is an Atari ST FM with a bad power supply. It might actually be an STE with a bad power supply. Either way, these are both STEs. So these are both STEs, the enhanced. I never had the enhanced when I was a kid. Never had it. So I was dead interested in having an enhanced. Yay, go Atari Mouse. This one I purchased to give that one its case, so that one works perfectly fine, or did work perfectly fine. Some classic games in here for it. Verminator, one of my favourite games of all time. I do recommend you look up Verminator on an emulator if you can. If you haven't, get the real thing. Put put Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusions 2 on, or Use Your Illusions 2 Disc 1, and then play this game, especially The Garden featuring Alice Cooper. That's a great afternoon for me. Blood Money, Psygnosis game. Really like that game. Really like the music in it. Obviously, complete rip-off. You'd never get away with it today. Here's another classic. Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters. That's a really good game. Really good game. So they were just to test that out. There's also some keyboards I've inherited. This actually one from when I was a kid. That's a keyboard from when I was actually a kid. So that keyboard's probably 32 years old. 32, 33 years old. There is an Atari monitor in there. Here's my flight stick that I want to get back out and play about with. Obviously, here's my track IR that, again, I want to get out with and play about with. So there's all sorts going on. There's the Hulk Smash. He's still here. There's other bits of hardware, software, and things in the bottom of both these cupboards. So just look at the mess. Just the utter and total chaos. And I hope you guys can enjoy joining me. There's all the spare parts that I mentioned. So down here we've got my previous to last graphics card. So that's a NVIDIA GTX 260 squared. So it's two 260s together. There's my 770 box, and there's my 1080 box. So I don't know which one's got which in it. So the 770 is probably back in its own box, and the 1080 is obviously in the machine. They're all there. There's all bits and pieces. In fact, I need that SATA cable to start the project down there with the backup server. And oh look, that's what I do. I needed that cable. I put it there. It'll stay there probably a week until I clear it all out. So I'm going to stop this now. That's my channel update. So, what do I do on my channel? Well, unfortunately, at the end of the year, I did an awful lot of reviews. I reviewed item after item after item after item. Sorry. I mean to do technology. I mean to do stuff like this. And it sometimes just gets a bit lost. First things first, then, I'm going to have a tidy up. And I will break back into this whenever I come back. We'll just go back. So, hat. The hat was a Christmas present, but I'm going to use it with the track IR and that. We're going to play some War Thunder for that in realistic mode. That box has got a load of cables in it that I need. There's obviously cables down the back of there. That silver thing there is actually part of the Cool Master case. That's a Cool Master Cosmos 2000 case or 1000 case. But I fitted pretty nice 120mm Charcoon fans that are silent. And Blue's come to see us. Say hello, Blue. Hello, Bubba. And he's wrecked the bed while we were filming. There's more cables there, look. It's just utter and total chaos and mess. There's discs underneath the cache boxes there. There's no cache in the cache boxes, they're just things. There's a PS3 here. There's cables streaming out there. Right, I'm going to stop pontificating. I'm going to get on with it. Sorry, this has been a bit of a rant, everybody, but I thought you'd like to see the hell that becomes your room if you don't keep it all tidy. And until then, I will speak to you all very soon.